Hello again, welcome back to Corruption Incorporated. I'm your host, Ionicles. If you're just joining us, what we're doing here is we're talking about the quagmire of corruption in the United States and in the world at large. And I'm doing what I can without giving legal advice, because I'm not an attorney, to show people that you don't need to be an attorney to do something about what's happening. I have been fighting back against this dark tide for about 7.5 years. I have won more than I've lost, and I have had no formal training or schooling of any kind in the field of law. I went to theater school. I do Shakespeare, things like that. So this is not fun for me, but there came a point where I realized in Los Angeles years ago that a lot of people were having their lives ruined by a lot of modern corporations that seem to think that human beings are something to be used and discarded or just brushed out of the way, like we don't matter, even though in the United States the foundation of our social contract is that we're all equal. So I am currently engaged in legal warfare against not one, not two, but 3 multi-billion-dollar companies. One case is in arbitration, one case is in trial court, and I'm trying to help everybody see that we really owe a duty to our country, to the legacy of the United States, to everything that it really stands for, and to all generations tomorrow and the day after, figuratively speaking, to come in the future to start to stand up and do something. And even if it's just talking about it, like when we get sick, we have to know what we're sick with to start to heal. We call that diagnosis. Social illness, we diagnose by talking about it. So I'm here. I'm going to try to do a very quick video tonight. I want to just do, I want to just do a very brief overview on what arbitration is. I'm going to get into how to start an arbitration claim. I can't tell you you should, but I can advise you, for instance, to stop doing business with companies like Coinbase. And I'm going to show you a couple of things about Coinbase tonight that are very unsavory, to say the least. Arbitration has been around for thousands of years. Even in ancient Rome, ancient Greece, I believe even as far back as ancient Mesopotamia, as far as I've been able to learn from relatively cursory research into this, it has always sort of been aimed at avoiding the time and the cost of litigation. The courts take a long time. For thousands of years, it takes a very long time, and it can be very expensive. And it was originally intended, as far as I know, I will always stand to be corrected by the truth. I will always yield to the truth. But it was intended to put people on an equal footing. For a long time in the United States, the courts didn't recognize arbitration agreements. That stopped in 1925 with the passage of the Federal Arbitration Act, and courts started to recognize those contracts and be able to enforce them. Unfortunately, between 1980 and sometime in the 1990s, there were a series of Supreme Court rulings that allowed this loophole to open, in which corporations now more and more seem to force people into an arbitration agreement. And in order to do business with them, they say in their terms of service, you waive your right to a class action lawsuit or to pursue action against us in formal court. I would encourage everyone to understand that nowadays, in this climate, anytime a corporation forces that on us as citizens, that is a red flag. That is not a good situation, because it's almost like a way in which we can see something may be going on here that is not exactly above board, ethically, at least, morally, definitely, if not legally, and they're looking for a way to isolate the individual. They say frequently in their terms of service, you will handle this on a one-on-one basis. That's what the original intention of arbitration was. But it's isolating people, and it's putting them in a situation where it's like the corporations are behaving, in my opinion, in a way where they know that people are not going to fight back. They know that lawyers will certainly not take cases like this. And Now what I've just found is something really, really, really unsettling to me. Coinbase is one of the companies I've been fighting. I've been fighting them for a long time, and I have been taken advantage of, I would allege prejudiced, by an arbitrator in 2021. The first time I tried to bring a securities fraud case against them, did something that he should not have done. He denied me the right to make a case for securities fraud because I had forgotten, or at that time didn't understand that's what it was called when I first filed my demand, it's called. I'll talk about that in the next episode. I bought a dry erase board, so I'll be able to, write some things down, hold them up, and maybe give some visual aids to this. I was denied the right to make this case after I had proved it, can prove that Coinbase is committing securities fraud, selling unregistered securities, and that our interests are not equal footing to each other. It's called horizontal commonality, is what is necessary for them to evade legal liability under securities fraud laws in the United States. Our interests have to be on equal footing. When they do better, we do better as investors. What I can prove is that Coinbase, the way that they were operating their software, their proprietary trading software on their Coinbase application, their basic level trading application for people who are not trading large amounts of money, like on Coinbase Pro, they are operating in a way that puts us at a disadvantage. That is called vertical commonality, that the interests of the investor are subservient to the interests of the company. The company has unilateral right to do things like alter the price of assets after they're representing the trade as completed on their software, and basically they're take the lion's share of gains through an algorithm that they wrote to police their software. I've been emailing Coinbase's attorneys. Coinbase's attorneys are some of the most unscrupulous lawyers I've ever encountered in my entire life, and I found out their law firm has an office in New York and in Virginia. They are not on Google Maps. That really, really upset me, and I started to post about them on LinkedIn, and I started to post about them here on my channel. They threatened to sue me for harassment, extortion, and defamation. They sent me a cease and desist letter. On a previous episode, I lit it on fire and ate popcorn while it burned. And I've also been now sending them an ascending number of emails. It was one more per day until they made that threat. I don't know how unhinged and crazy these people might be to do something like that, even though I could counterclaim retaliation. I know this is a lot of information. I wanted to just do an overview of the basics tonight and get to this. But I've also been CCing or adding in my sender list, my recipient list in my emails. After I got threatened, it was less frequent, but still keeping tally of the number of emails per day. Like 11 days ago, this is tax day today, 15th of April. 11 days ago, I sent them 25 emails, and then all of a sudden, on April 10th, it says April 10th right here, Coinbase updated their user agreement. I don't know if this has anything or everything to do with me. I could never prove that. They've never ever talked to me about it or admit it, even if it did, but it's really, really sickening to me that it might have something to do with me, because they've been getting a lot of emails from me. This arbitration agreement that they added in here is really, really, really twisted. The beginning of this says, important notice to existing users who signed up before March 27, 2025. Starting May 15th, 2025, the arbitration agreement will be updated to the version in Appendix 6 in here. If you do not agree with this change, you can close your account and withdraw your funds by May 15th, 2025. That's a month from today. Important notice to users who sign up on or after March 27, 2025. You agree to the Coinbase user agreement set out below and agree that the arbitration agreement in Appendix 6 and not Appendix 5 immediately applies to you. Red flag. Huge crimson red flag. This is not good. If you know anybody who does business with this company and you care about them, tell them to pull their money within the next month. Take it somewhere else. Give it to Binance. I've heard that there aren't great things sometimes going on at Binance as well, but at least it's not this blatantly shady. So let's look at this. Let's look at all this fine print. Yes, it really, really sucks to have to read something like this. It really, really, really does. But let's look at it. Here's Appendix 5. I got to make this quick, but let's Appendix 6. Normal filming situation for me has not been available lately. I'm not going to go into why, but Appendix 6. Here we go. Dispute resolution, including arbitration agreement, class action waiver, red flag, jury trial waiver, red flag, forum selection clause. That's something I've never seen before. Basically, I'm not going to read all this because I wanted to keep this really short. And what are we at? We're already at 10 minutes here. I'm going to go into this further in another episode, but I want to put this out there and give people a month. If you're watching this, please tell your friends. I can't give you legal advice. I can't say you should file a claim against them. I'm not saying that. I really am not. I'm not allowed to practice law in any of the 50 states. But I am telling you, and I can say this, seriously, I've been doing this for many years. This is really, really twisted. They're basically saying, I'll read item 5 here. Or actually it says first, arbitration agreement. You and we agree to arbitrate all disputes in binding arbitration except for the following types of disputes. There hasn't been as much in a section like that in previous versions of this I've seen, and I've seen a lot of versions of this. Number 5, disputes about whether you or we have violated state or federal securities laws. In the event that there is a dispute about whether you or we have violated state or federal securities laws, you and we agree that such disputes shall be resolved by a court of competent jurisdiction. This means, for example, if you have a dispute that contains causes of action under the state or federal securities laws and other causes of action that are arbitrable, then the arbitrable causes of action must proceed in arbitration, and the state or federal securities laws causes of action must proceed in a court of competent jurisdiction. They're forcing people to take them actually to court, which is way more expensive and takes way longer and is way, way harder for individual citizens to do it. Trust me, I know, because on my first video, I had hair down to here, and in the last year and a half fighting my big trial court case, my hair fell out. I can't even grow hair on the top of my head anymore. It doesn't even get longer than this. I start looking like I'm totally bald up here. I'm not even 40 years old yet. I should have had hair 15 years longer than this. Both my grandfathers had hair much, much longer than this. My father has had hair much, much longer than this, and he's almost 70 years old. One of the big things I'm claiming in my big case is accelerated hair loss, permanent disfigurement. That and this thing in my cheek from losing so much weight. I've gained almost 40 pounds since Christmas 2023 when I was really in the deep dark of it. This is really, really, really bad, because basically they're almost here admitting that they're screwing around with the law, and they're not letting people take them to arbitration anymore, because I think more and more people might actually be starting to figure it out and try. That's my opinion. I can sing my opinion from every mountaintop in the entire world. Under the laws of the United States, I am protected under the First Amendment. I can voice my opinion, and they can't do anything about it. That's why their threats of harassment, etc., 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 were all baseless, and they've done nothing but try to violate my due process rights under the 14th Amendment. And there's going to be consequences for that, mark my words. This is really bad, because it's almost like they're if you could read in between the lines of this, it's like, to me, in my opinion, they're admitting that they know that they're doing something wrong and they don't care. They're like a cancer cell. I'm going to stop this now. It's been probably almost 15 minutes, but I wanted to get that out as fast as possible. I've never seen anything like that. And they updated this after I've been sending them dozens of emails to their consumerlit@coinbase.com email address. You want to send them an email, just say shame on you. Go right ahead, be my guest. I hope you do. I hope you send them 100 emails. They might say, well, you're harassing us. Oh, no, I'm not harassing you. I'm trying to help you understand, like I said to them before, there is no brighter future in which your kids don't suffer if you keep doing this. Their lawyers keep doing business with companies like this, hiding from public scrutiny. Dark things in our world prefer not to be seen. That's what it means to be dark things. This is ridiculous. You have to take us to court. You have to spend all this money. Because you may not know this, but at least, I don't know about in other states, but at least in California, if you've fallen on hard times, there's a waiver for the fee to start arbitration. You don't have to pay anything. Otherwise, I think it's $300. They have to shoulder all the costs. That hasn't stopped their attorneys from threatening me both times I've done this with pursuing legal fees, which is against the policy of the American Arbitration Association, and it is against their agreement, the version at least that applies in the case I've filed against them, 2 cases I've filed against them. These people don't care. They're Americans in name only. They're running around their gated communities, driving their German cars, whatever, and telling themselves they're doing great because they're making all this money, but they're making it from a company that is stealing more from poor people than rich people, and I can prove that. I'm not defaming them. Truth is an absolute affirmative defense to claims of defamation, and that's why they're not going to come after me for that, because I am telling the truth, and I got hundreds of pictures, if not thousands of pictures, that proves what they're doing. I don't like this. I've said it many times. I don't like doing this, but I can't publish books. I can't go be in theater and movies knowing that these cancer cells are growing like they have been. It's almost as long as I've been alive. This has become a really big problem. Companies like this acting like they're above the law. Don't want to talk to us, just want to rape and pillage common folk who are just trying to tuck a little money away or just work for themselves, start a little business as an independent contractor, and they're just getting their lives ripped apart. Take something beautiful like a new form of currency and rub its nose in the dirt within a few years of its inception into our culture. It's so despicable, there's not even a word I can muster for it in any tongue of humankind. Pull your money from Coinbase. You want to do something for your society, for your children today? Hit subscribe on this channel. Share this, repost this. Let's start something. Let's make this like a chain letter. You know, you want to send emails to Coinbase, consumerlit@coinbase.com, lit as in litigation, consumer LIT, no punctuation, at coinbase.com. Start a chain letter. Send it to your friends. Hey, send this to like 10 people. You know, forward this to 10 people. Get them to say shame on you and send it to consumer. Let's blow up their inbox. Let's get it to the point where they can't even do anything about this. They just got so many emails coming in. Maybe somebody there will actually get a clue that what they're doing is, I mean, they're taking turds and calling them Tootsie Rolls. They're selling you something that's toxic in nature. They're saying, here's a pie. And you're like, oh, I love pie. And you buy a pie from them, and it turns out to be made of feces. This may be hyperbole, I'm exaggerating, but and you're like, but I can't eat this. And they're like, oh, you didn't know that's what we meant by pie? Sorry, can't do anything about that. Should have seen it in the fine print. It's disgusting, and it's anti-American. I'm telling you right now, we are one generation away from this being impossible. Impossible for people to do anything. So if you're watching this, I try to always valedict with peace and love to all of you. This is almost 20 minutes. I could do this all day. Like I said one time before, call me Captain America. I could do this all day. No scripts. We're going to get into what it takes to start an arbitration case. I think we're going to have an arbitrator decided in my new case very soon. I think he's a retired judge. He's got honorable in front of his name. We're going to see how this goes. But peace be with you, one and all. This is Ionicles signing off for today. Tax day. Good luck with your taxes or filing an extension. And I'll see you again soon. All right. Bye for now.